Good afternoon. This is the knitting news from Knit Happens Teesside for the 40th week of 2024. I did mention last week that maybe we would find somewhere else for our knitting group, as your coffee chains are a bit sort of loud, overly bright, crummy, and you know they have to bang their equipment all the time. So if you're sitting there for about 2.5 hours, it's a little bit much. So we thought we'd try somewhere new. And we agreed on the Wellington Inn in Wulveston Village. So I've got some footage of that and some photographs. And it was a very successful venture. And I think we're going there again. Well, we are going there again this week. It's a lovely little cosy village pub that was a forgery and a house, and it's been knocked through, so it's kind of very long and thin and goes round the corner. Very interesting. It's an unusual pub. There used to be 2 pubs in the village, but there's just the one now. They have walls here. Wellington Inn. Fortunately, it has a car park, so it was quite accessible for all 3 of us. And I also had a little wander up the road, and there was some yarn bombing. Well, it was poppies, wreaths. So they must have been there since last November at least, for a Remembrance Day. St. Peter's. Oh, look what I found. Knitted and crocheted. Are they all knitted? No, there's some crochet ones on the gates of the local church. What's that? Play and Praise. St. Peter's Church, Wulveston. Quite a lot of churches are made with stone, but this one's brick. I had a little look online about Wulveston Village, and it's a very old village. There's information, it dates back to the Norman conquest in 1066, but some of the names are, which it used to be called Ulverstona, which would be maybe a Saxon name. There were 2 villages, as well as there being 2 pubs and 2 villages. There were 2 churches, also, as well as being 2 pubs. And there was St. Mary's. I've had to write dates down because dates just go through my head. St. Mary's was built, 1876 maybe? No. St. Peter's were built in 1876. St. Mary's was older than that. I don't think I've written the date down. But it fell into disrepair and was redone. And then they built St. Peter's. And then it was demolished in 1878 after they had built St. Peter's in 1876. So 2 years later, they demolished St. Mary's, and there is only St. Peter's now, which has also been refurbished and may have quite a bit to do with why it's made out of brick and not stone, because you don't really see that many brick churches. Usually they're old and they're stone, and not brick. Sometimes in sort of the Norfolk area, they're covered in stones, but it's a certain kind of stone. What's a stone? Flint. In Norfolk areas, probably Suffolk as well, they use a lot of flint. So they'll put a cement on the wall and stick the flint in. Anyway, this is a knitting podcast-ish. So we had a nice evening in the welly. And there was just the three of us. So Helen came along with her basket full of tricks, and she's making... Oh, she gave me a gift, but I might be saving that until later. She's making flowers which are quite fiddly and time-consuming for the blanket. She made a crocus, and she's been making violas and pansies. And she's very, very, very nearly finished because she's got plans for Christmas presents. Jill was wearing her blue lace cardigan. It's kind of like a short sleeve cardigan with lace fronts. And I didn't take a picture of it, but never mind. She came in with a blue coat on, a blue cardigan, a blue top underneath, so she was just a vision in a lovely shade of like a royal blue. She was working on her sideways lace cardigan by Debbie Bliss. I thought she was casting these bits on. I know what she was doing. She was picking up, the lace cardigan, she was picking up stitches going down here on the Debbie Bliss lace cardigan, you know, the one that's lace weight lace. And so you go sideways round, you make the whole thing sideways round with little flaps for your sleeve underneath bits, and then your sleeve tops are all cast on separately, and then you knit up there, and then the same at the back. You cast on right the way along the back, halfway up the sleeve, and knit up to the shoulder. So she was picking up stitches and having trouble keeping count in precisely, because, well, we were talking too. I was working on my Tunisian jumper, which is here, and I've started the sleeve. One sleeve I have started. Which way round is it? It's this way round. I thought it looked like it had a dark mark. It's just a dint. Nothing wrong there. Don't know why that's so dark. Oh, there is a little bit of dark fluff. Anyway, kids always used to take the mickey out of me for pulling that face. Here's my sleeve. So it's getting there. It's going to be so thick and warm. I've got quite short arms. I've calculated how many decreases I need to do, and they are either side of a central stitch underneath the arm. And it's really easy to do because you just go through 2 loops instead of 1. Well, that's the way I've done it, and it looks good. So it's on this. Oh, it's Tunisian in the round, and you do your forward pass with one hook, and you go back again with the other hook because it's all connected. And you need 2 balls of yarn, which I didn't realise at first, which works much better than just the one. So each hook has its own ball of yarn, and the pattern will be in Blocked magazine when it's sorted. That's what I've been working on. I finished my baby mitts I was making. It said to thread ribbons through, but I made little, I need to stop saying them. I made little, they're quite stretchy. It's a stretchy crochet cast on. That's all I've done to make these, which is put a slip knot on your hook, chain 2, and then do single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet into the second chain from the hook all the way along, and it gives you a stretchy. I have just checked my tension, and with it being a very old pattern, I don't even remember if I showed you the pattern. It's in a Woolworths knitting magazine, issue 2, which was 12p. And the pattern is a matinee set. Very old-fashioned, but they are lovely. So it's from this page, and it's in 3-ply, which is why I'm using. It's 3-ply. So I've been hunting around because a lot of the modern patterns are just 4-ply, aren't they, or double knit. That's why I'm making this one, but it is a lovely set. Now I've just checked my tension and it's over 1 inch. Whereas now we're usually over 4 inches or 10 centimetres. And it says 8 stitches for 1 inch. And I did think they looked a little bit... They're passable, they'll be fine. But I did think they looked a bit loose. And when I've measured, I've got 7 stitches per inch. So that's 4 stitches out for 4 inches. I'm going to have to find, I've started the booties. I'm going to have to find a smaller needle. And my needle's already quite small. I'll just show you one of my tricks. I'm on a 3mm needle. So I need to find a smaller one than 3, which I have got. And then my wool might go further. I've got a whole another ball. I think the balls in the original pattern were in ounces or something like that, so it doesn't make sense at all. Not grams, so it's hard to work out. But I have another ball, and there's quite a lot on a 3-ply ball, isn't there? I think I might have enough for all of it. I'll definitely make the little cardigan if I can. Right then, I am today drinking collagen, and it's got that hyaluronic acid in it. How they say on the face creams. I'm quite sure my stomach acid will neutralise that. And I don't believe any of the hype. But I bought it anyway. You never know. I am losing collagen by the second. I am wearing a very well-known sweater. But when I had a look, I haven't been wearing it on my videos, but I do wear it quite a lot because it's in 4-ply, so it's not too thick, it's not too warm, and it's just another like a warmish layer for when the weather isn't absolutely freezing. The thing about Ranunculus, this pattern, which is Cafe House Midori. The thing about Ranunculus is a lot of them that I have made, and probably a lot of other people have made, have been the short sleeve version. So this one I had enough to make the long sleeve version, and I would highly recommend it. It's even got some cuff shaping to make it sit like that on your hands. Just give this a wipe. Is that a bit better? All my jumpers these days are getting pulled by Pussycat. Like it was. It's a bit of a hole, but I can tease that. This is made with Kinkle Senses that was sold off at Boys, a shop called Boys. Sold off for about £1 a ball, so I bought quite a few balls, and it goes quite a long way. And it's probably, I haven't looked at the fibre content, I shall have to have a look. it's not overly warm, so it's a really good sort of mid-season yarn. It's slightly variegated, and I think I have green, blue and black, because I thought, well, I might as well buy every colour if it's going to be a pound a ball. I've already made a jumper that's mustard in the same yarn. I don't wear that one as much because Ranunculus is just so wearable. It's just everything. It's quick, it's wearable, it's kind of a good weight, and definitely have a go at the sleeves. You don't have to do the shaping around the bottom. It's also got an I-cord cuff on it. Yesterday, Helen and I went to the Durham Guild of Spinners, Weavers and Dyers. They were having an open day and encouraging members of the public who were passing by to come in and have a look. But there's always a sign outside that says, come in and have a look at what we do. So yesterday it was, we were asked to take socks in, or footwear and things that we'd made for our feet within the last year. I did take some socks that have worn extremely well, but that they haven't been made in the last year because I don't really like to make socks very much. I more make socks when I need socks. I do enjoy them, I suppose, when I do them, but it's not something that I want to keep knitting. So my socks were in my bag, and our meeting is in a church hall. And unfortunately, the heat didn't come on yesterday. And I had travelled there in a pair of socks that were substandard. No, they're just shop socks that aren't particularly warm and aren't made of wool. So I took my spinning wheel, and I don't like to really spin with my shoes on, so I took my boots off, and then my feet were cold, so I got my woolly socks out of my bag and wore them instead. And I don't think they really needed my contribution anyway, because the table was full of socks and booties and felted slippers that had been originally this big. There were one of the members, Rosalind, she tried to think of as many different ways of making socks. So she made socks on 2 needles with the seam up the front, up the back and up the side. I think the ones with the side seam had kind of a fancy seam that made a feature. It was crocheted instead, so it kind of made a feature going up the sides of the feet. There were some little booties made with a 4-inch square and a 2-inch square. And just the way you sew them together, it makes booties. That was interesting. Somebody had made some stockings with shaping. She did make them blue, but thought that they could be like fishnet stockings, and because the seam is up the back, then they could be seamed stockings, and she has worn them. Also on display there was a small wall hanging, and each square was made by a different member. I think they're all woven, and each one was made by a different member of the guild. Some time ago, when it was 25th anniversary, I think. So one of the ladies, Anne, who's just turned 90, she brought it in for everybody to see, and a book that's got quite a lot of photos of the different things that they've done over the years. So that was a very interesting book to have a look through. And on the back of each square is the name of the person who made it. That might be all for this week. So, more news, maybe, next week.